Clemson's simple defense. I know we have talked about this a few times, and this gets everybody riled up because they're like, why does the defense need to be simple? Why are they doing this? They don't need to mess everything up. They had it perfect. They were top defense. And on the flip side, why are we calling the defense simple? Those guys are smart. They know what they're doing. But there's a lot to the word simple and simplicity when it comes to doing that with the Clemson defense and with defense and being a coordinator in Wes Goodwin. So we're going to talk about that because Keith McGuire came out this week, middle linebacker for the Clemson Tigers. He's going to be that WWE rotation between Trotter and Bentley and McGuire at middle linebacker this year. And he came out and he wanted to add a little bit to make sure no one gets it twisted about being simple on defense. So I say, quote here, he's not a dummy. He knows what you need to have, that you need to have different defense with different groups and that can run out there and compete with different offenses. He's very smart, and I'm sure there won't be an offense that we can't scheme for differently, just the way that Coach Venables did. Talking about Wesley Goodwin there. Obviously, Coach V was a very intense person. The way he coached and taught everything, and I think for some people, they can understand it more. Coach V talked a lot in football terms, and if you didn't understand it, then sometimes it might have taken you a little longer to understand what he's trying to say. Wes kind of simplifies the way he talks and explains things. So I think the younger guys have a better opportunity to learn a little bit faster. It wasn't until my third year where I could really, in the meetings, completely understand what Coach V wanted. And when you understand him, you realize how smart he is and with everything he does. But Wes, he's speaking in terms, the way he communicates is just a little bit different. In the playbook, he explains it a lot as numbers and things like that. I think it's easier when you don't understand all the terms to just look at it as a map or a puzzle, almost kind of to fill it in. I wouldn't say the defense is that much more simplified. Just the way he explains it to you and shows you on paper may be a little bit different, so you can kind of visualize it a little bit more and go out there and understand what you're doing. Now that, again, is from Keith McGuire, going to be middle linebacker, rotational middle linebacker for the Clemson Tigers this season. So when I say that, and basically we'll start with you, Houston, how he describes Wes Goodwin's approach. Some people say simplification is kind of like dumbing it down, but that's not what it sounds like.
No, not at all. I think simplification can mean a lot of good things too. I mean, I think for the sake of one, making it your own, you don't have to do a ton of things to make this an aggressive, good defense. I think some of the tweaks to help linebackers and the back end of that defense, simplifying it, is laying it out better for them. Because what is the one weakness, outside of a mobile quarterback for Morgan, I guess, but outside of that is deep plays, a lot of big plays, chunk plays. Think about the Pitt game in 16, Syracuse game in 17, the LSU game in 19, and so on and so forth, Ohio State in 2020. There was always issues with if you were super aggressive, giving up that deep play. I think being able to simplify it is one way to combat some of these offenses. Like LSU and Ohio State's offense, when you kind of break it down to it, it's not the most complex offensive playbook ever. No, they have a handful of plays that they sell unbelievably well, and it made Clemson's aggressive defense bite, and they were able to just kill them. So maybe being able to simplify it on the back end will help combat some of those games, knowing where you're supposed to go, knowing your matchups, knowing how to help, knowing your blitzes, and then being able to simplify it. I think it's also good to just be able to get that installation in, and then being able to tweak from week to week is fine.
Keith McGuire, number 30 this year, linebacker, middle linebacker, 6'2", 230 pounds, redshirt junior from Pennsylvania. Enters 2022 with 33 tackles, 4 for a loss, a forced fumble, an interception, 2 pass breakups in 208 defensive snaps over 28 games. So a lot less snaps than the guy we talked about before with Walker Parks. but he's somebody that's looking to really jump on the scene this year. A former 3-star guy, according to 24/7 Sports, but a guy that we felt like could be a Power 5 starter. And a lot of the scouts out there, even though he was a 3-star, felt like he had a lot of talent there. But Al, I've mentioned this before. It does seem like the middle linebacker position, when in terms of Brent Venables taught middle linebackers, you got to have a PhD almost, and to even sniff the starting lineup. It seems like maybe that's not necessarily going to have to be the case now. Maybe it's not so much simplifying it as it's removing barriers to learning so that younger guys can get in earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, a PhD is about right, and Boulware had that. Boulware, he might have lacked some in athleticism. A lot of people like to talk about that, but man, he knew what was going on. You could see him calling plays before they happened, that kind of thing. This is, I don't know. Who knows what these guys were going to have this year? We got to see them start and see what they got as far as diagnosing plays and things like that. But man, they've got the athleticism. We know that, and simplifying things, I think, is a way to get them to just get out there and let the athletes make plays. And something Houston was talking about, he's talking about the big plays. I got to tell you, that's not exactly where I thought you were going with the simple defense, Houston. I thought you were going to mention the tempo, because I think that was an issue that Brent Venables had.
That's
waiting so long, to get those plays in. And some of these guys, heck, some of the offenses that weren't even really all that good, they ran fast and they were able to get plays while we weren't even, paying attention. Our hands weren't even in the dirt or anything like that. So yeah. I really think the simplification of the defense, whether it may be just terminology or getting, younger players ready to make plays faster or whatever it may be, I think it's going to be a good thing all the way around.
Jared Clark gets in over on Facebook, and he says, simple because they are so deep and athletic. Defensive line linebackers by committee. Too much speed and power in the front seven. Not hard to coach those studs. While it might not be hard because of the talent, talent in all different directions with no common goal, shared goal is not a good thing. You need that coach there to bring them together, to get them towards a common goal, to get them all on the same page. But also, as Al and Houston mentioned, to simplify things in a way to where you can take advantage of that deep and athletic rotation. Because if you make it so complicated, you've shortened your roster. For all you roster management coordinators out there, you've shortened your roster by making it so much more difficult just to be a starter, just to be a backup. I mean, looking back, I know Brent Venables is one of the best defensive coordinators in the nation, but he was not perfect. He had flaws. I would say one of those flaws is to be a middle linebacker took you needing a PhD. Maybe it's not necessary for that much knowledge to be able to manage the position. And maybe if you're recruiting so well and there's only one middle linebacker, if you're going to do a WWE tag team or triple tag kind of style that Dabo Swinney's talking about, they got to be interchangeable parts. Well, do like the Honda Accord and make them easily interchangeable parts. Don't be like a Porsche where it's got to take 3 weeks to change it out. That's all I'm saying there. I think it's simple, but it's simple in learning and knowledge and being able to pick it up and being able to use it. A lot of people loved Keith McGuire's post-practice interview. I'm excited to see him and what he can do, because I feel like he is, a redshirt junior, man, he has taken the lumps and he has finally gotten a chance to get out there. So you got to love what he's doing and his positivity there. Christopher gets in over on YouTube and says, simple in language, not in scheme. That's the big difference there. We're talking about simplicity, but it's not so much about how complex the scheme is. It can still be complex. It just seems like maybe he's being a little bit more visual with it than Brent Venables was being more terminological with it. Yes, you heard that right, Al. You heard that right. Jared gets in again over on Facebook and says, McGuire is a very football savvy. He knows X's and O's. Got to have that field general on defense as well as on offense. I think you can still have the field general as we're talking and still make it easily teachable, right, Houston?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I feel like for this, it goes back to the whole like waiting to the last second to get plays in. Al, I got to give you credit, man. You got me on that one. I should have said that. But I think simplification for that, the sign stealing, I don't think it was the sign. I think he was just trying to get the last look. And sometimes you can't afford to do that. Maybe it might afford you if your offense is more of a pro style and trying to slow things down. But LSU didn't wait. Ohio State didn't wait. Syracuse didn't wait. Pitt didn't wait.
No, they didn't.
I mean, how many other ones can you tell? Louisville in 2016 when they actually were good didn't wait. Even Louisville last year. Had an effective run game on Clemson that sliced them up with Malik Cunningham. So it is very teachable, and I think this is one of those things that, especially from the linebacker level, it's very important for these linebackers to know their run fits for this particular aggressive defense. So being able to tighten the screws a little bit makes things tweak. Maybe even in this regard, like I don't want to say less aggressive because that doesn't do this justice. It's still going to be very aggressive, but it has to be smartly aggressive. I think that's kind of the way they want to go about it.